Amara, you lied to me. I swear I didn't lie. I didn't.
Swear I did. Then tell me what you took from Alexander's office. Nothing. Then why have you been hiding that phone?
Alexandra was supposed to walk into his engagement party and marry the woman he trusted most. Instead, he walked through those golden ballroom doors and saw his fiancée holding a riding crop over a terrified maid. The entire room went silent. But what Alexander saw next was even more disturbing. The maid wasn't just crying. She was holding a photograph on her phone, one that could expose a secret worth millions of dollars. And when Alexander finally looked at that photograph, he realized the woman he was about to marry had been hiding something from him for months. But why was the maid the only person who knew the truth? And what exactly had Vanessa been trying to hide? Before we go deeper into the story, let us know in the comment where you are watching from, and please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Alexander Hayes was not the kind of man who needed to announce his wealth. His name already did that. At 42, he had built a technology and investment empire with offices in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and several international markets. His Beverly Hills estate sat behind private gates, surrounded by manicured gardens, fountains, security cameras, and a driveway large enough to accommodate a fleet of luxury vehicles. Yet Alexander himself was surprisingly reserved. He preferred quiet dinners to celebrity parties, private conversations to crowded events, and business meetings to meaningless social gatherings. Money had never been his greatest obsession. Trust was. His father had taught him that lesson when he was young. Once trust is gone, his father had told him, money won't buy it back. Alexander had remembered those words for decades. That was why he believed he had found the right woman when he met Vanessa Sterling. Vanessa came from an influential American family with long-standing business connections. She was elegant, intelligent, beautiful, and exceptionally confident. She knew how to enter a room and immediately command attention. She knew exactly what to say to investors. She understood wealthy social circles. And most importantly, she knew how to make Alexander feel admired. Their relationship moved quickly. Within a year, they were engaged. To everyone watching from the outside, they looked perfect. But inside the mansion, things were very different. The staff had begun noticing Vanessa's temper. When guests were present, she could be charming. But when the doors closed, another side of her appeared. And one employee saw that side of Vanessa more than anyone else. Amara Johnson. Amara was 26 years old. She had grown up in a modest American household and had moved to Los Angeles after finding an opportunity to work for the Hayes family. Her younger brother, Daniel, was attending a university in California, studying engineering. Amara helped cover his tuition. She also sent money home to help her mother with household expenses. The job at the Hayes estate wasn't glamorous. Most mornings, Amara started work before sunrise. She cleaned guest rooms, prepared sitting areas, arranged flowers, helped organize meals, checked the bedrooms before important visitors arrived, and made sure the mansion looked perfect before Alexander or Vanessa came downstairs. She rarely complained. She understood how people in wealthy homes sometimes viewed employees. Most guests didn't remember her name. To them, she was simply part of the background. But Alexander was different. He remembered everyone. He knew the security team's names. He knew which chef had worked for his family the longest. And he knew Amara. One morning, Alexander found her inside the library. She was cleaning one of the enormous bookshelves. He noticed the book she was holding. It was an old biography about one of America's most influential entrepreneurs. Alexander asked whether she had read it. Amara smiled and admitted that she enjoyed reading but rarely had enough free time. Alexander took the book from her hands. He told her to keep it. It was a small gesture. To Alexander, it meant almost nothing. To Amara, it meant everything. For the first time, someone inside that mansion had treated her like she mattered. And Vanessa noticed. Vanessa began watching Amara. At first, it was subtle. She noticed whenever Alexander spoke with her. She noticed when he asked about her family. She noticed when Amara smiled at something he said. None of those things should have mattered. But Vanessa had started seeing Amara as a threat. One evening, Vanessa confronted Alexander about it. She told him Amara was becoming too comfortable. Alexander dismissed the accusation. He trusted Amara. He believed she was simply doing her job. But Vanessa wasn't satisfied. Instead, she started looking for a reason to remove her. Then she discovered something. Amara's younger brother had fallen behind on his university tuition. Vanessa saw an opportunity. She didn't need to fire Amara. She only needed to make her afraid. A tuition payment Amara believed had already been processed suddenly disappeared from the university's records. Daniel's school contacted her. Amara panicked. She had no idea what had happened. Then Vanessa summoned her. She calmly reminded Amara how difficult life could become if she lost her position. The message was simple. Stay away from Alexander. Keep quiet. And never challenge Vanessa. Amara understood. But Vanessa had made one mistake. She had underestimated how observant Amara was. One afternoon, Amara was cleaning Alexander's private office. She was organizing a filing cabinet when several documents accidentally slipped onto the floor. She bent down to collect them. Then she noticed a company name. Sterling Holdings. Vanessa's family business. Amara didn't understand every financial detail. But she recognized Alexander's signature. There were transfers. Large transfers. Payments that appeared to have been authorized by Alexander. Except Amara had never heard Alexander mention them. She carefully returned the documents. But something didn't feel right. Later that evening, she accidentally overheard Vanessa speaking with an older businessman in a private hallway. They were talking about money. They were talking about Alexander. And they were talking about making sure he didn't discover what had happened. Amara realized she had stumbled onto something serious. She didn't know who she could trust. So she took a photograph of one of the documents. She stored the image on her phone. She didn't know what she would eventually do with it. She only knew one thing. If Vanessa discovered that photograph, Amara could lose everything. Over the following weeks, Vanessa became more confident. She believed Alexander trusted her completely. Meanwhile, money continued moving from accounts connected to Alexander's companies toward businesses connected to her family. The amounts were substantial. Vanessa's family's investment company had been struggling. She had convinced Alexander to invest in several projects. But the situation had become much worse than he realized. Vanessa and a relative had developed a plan. Money would be transferred through several companies. Some transactions would appear to be legitimate business expenses. Others would be disguised as investments. Then Vanessa would marry Alexander. Once they were married, she believed gaining access to more of his financial assets would become much easier. It was carefully planned. But there was one problem. Amara had seen enough to know something wasn't right. And eventually, Vanessa discovered that Amara knew. That was when the warnings became more serious. The night of the engagement party finally arrived. The Beverly Hills mansion looked extraordinary. Crystal chandeliers illuminated the ballroom. Golden decorations covered the walls. Fresh flowers filled enormous arrangements. Luxury vehicles lined the circular driveway. Guests arrived wearing designer gowns, custom tuxedos, and expensive jewelry. Everyone expected a perfect evening. Vanessa stood at the center of it all. She smiled. She greeted guests. She accepted compliments. She posed for photographs. She looked like a woman who had already won. But behind that smile, she was worried. Alexander had been away on business. He was supposed to arrive later. Vanessa believed she had enough time to deal with Amara. She summoned the maid to a private corridor. Vanessa demanded to know what Amara had taken from Alexander's office. Amara denied stealing anything. Vanessa demanded her phone. Amara refused. That refusal changed everything. Vanessa realized the photograph was probably still there. She reached for the phone. Amara held it tightly against herself. Guests nearby began noticing. Vanessa accused her of disrespect. Amara tried to explain. But Vanessa wasn't interested in an explanation. She wanted the phone. And when Amara refused again, Vanessa reached for the decorative riding crop that had been displayed as part of the mansion's equestrian decor. The room fell silent. Amara backed away. She begged Vanessa to stop. Vanessa raised the crop. And then the ballroom doors opened. Alexander stood in the doorway. He had arrived earlier than expected. His private flight had landed ahead of schedule. He had gone directly home. And the first thing he saw was Vanessa holding the riding crop. The second thing he saw was Amara crying. The third thing he noticed was the silence. Alexander didn't need anyone to explain that something was wrong. He placed his suitcase on the marble floor. His eyes remained fixed on Vanessa. For the first time that night, Vanessa looked afraid. She immediately tried to explain. She claimed Amara had disrespected her. Then she suggested that Amara had become aggressive. But Alexander wasn't convinced. He looked at the crop. Then at Amara's frightened face. Then back at Vanessa. Something inside him changed. He had spent months defending Vanessa. He had trusted her explanations. He had believed that the woman beside him was exactly who she claimed to be. But now he was questioning everything. He asked Amara what had happened. She was terrified. She knew Vanessa could make life extremely difficult for her family. But Alexander kept asking. Finally, Amara revealed that she had discovered financial documents in his office. Vanessa immediately denied everything. But Alexander had heard enough. He instructed Michael, his head of security, to secure the ballroom and keep everyone inside while the situation was clarified. The celebration was over. What had started as an engagement party had become an investigation. Amara slowly showed Alexander the photograph stored on her phone. He examined it carefully. The image showed financial information connecting one of his companies to Sterling Holdings. Alexander recognized the signatures. He also recognized several transfers he had never personally approved. The room became silent. Alexander looked at Vanessa. This time, he wasn't asking whether the document was real. He was asking himself why she had hidden it. Vanessa tried to explain. She claimed the transactions were part of a business arrangement. Alexander asked why he had never been informed. She had no answer. Then Michael examined the documents. He contacted Alexander's financial team. Within minutes, they confirmed that the information appeared consistent with genuine company records. Alexander's suspicion became something much more serious. Someone had been moving his money. And someone close to him had known about it. Amara had been carrying the evidence on her phone the entire time. Alexander ordered a complete financial review. The results were worse than he expected. Millions of dollars had moved through several accounts. Several businesses connected to Vanessa's family had received funds. Some transactions had been routed through multiple companies. The evidence suggested a coordinated financial scheme. Vanessa's family business had been struggling. She had been using Alexander's money to keep it afloat. And she had planned to marry him before he discovered the truth. Alexander was deeply hurt. Not because of the money. He could recover money. What he couldn't immediately recover was trust. He asked Vanessa one question. How long? For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she admitted that the financial transfers had been happening for months. She said she loved him. But Alexander finally understood something. Their relationship had stopped being about love. It had become about access. Access to his wealth. Access to his influence. Access to his business empire. Vanessa wanted the lifestyle Alexander provided. And she had been willing to manipulate everyone around her to protect it. Alexander turned his attention toward Amara. He asked why she hadn't told him sooner. Amara explained everything. She told him about the tuition problem. The threats. The pressure. The conversations she had overheard. And the fear of losing her job. She admitted she had been terrified. Alexander listened without interrupting. Then he realized something painful. Amara hadn't stayed silent because she was dishonest. She had stayed silent because she had been afraid. She had been trying to protect her family while figuring out how to protect Alexander's business. Alexander apologized. He told her she should never have been put in that position. Then something unexpected happened. Other employees who had witnessed Vanessa's behavior finally found the courage to speak. One by one, they shared their experiences. Alexander realized Amara wasn't the only person who had been uncomfortable around Vanessa. Several employees had been afraid to speak. Vanessa had created an atmosphere of fear inside his own home. And Alexander had never noticed. By the following morning, the engagement was officially over. Alexander's attorneys began reviewing every questionable transaction. His accountants examined the company's financial records. The appropriate authorities were notified about the suspected financial misconduct. Alexander could have used his influence to make everything disappear. Instead, he chose transparency. He wanted the facts established properly. The party had been designed to announce his future marriage. Instead, it became the night his entire future changed. Vanessa lost the relationship she had worked so hard to secure. Her family's company faced the consequences of its financial decisions. And Alexander was left alone inside the mansion with one painful question. How could he have trusted someone so completely without truly knowing her? The morning after the party, Alexander found Amara in the library. The same library where he had once given her the book. She was preparing to return to her normal duties. Alexander told her she didn't have to. Amara looked confused. Then he offered her a new position within his company. She would begin as an executive assistant and receive professional training. Amara was stunned. She didn't have years of corporate experience. She didn't have the connections most people in Alexander's company had. But Alexander had seen something valuable in her. Attention to detail. Integrity. Courage. She had noticed financial irregularities that trained professionals had missed. And she had protected the evidence despite the personal risk. Amara accepted the opportunity. But Alexander wasn't finished. He offered to help resolve Daniel's outstanding tuition balance. Amara initially refused. She didn't want charity. Alexander told her it wasn't charity. It was an investment in someone who had earned an opportunity. Eventually, she accepted.